Clicking and popping sounds when you're pressing, when you're doing exercises with your slap tear rehab. Is it normal? Should you push through it? Is it dangerous? Is it safe? Is it something to be expected? Common question that I get asked. And today, for the first time, I'm going live to Instagram and TikTok too. So hello to everybody on those platforms. So we're talking slap tear rehab here. It's a really tough injury to be dealing with, and it's something that I've personally rehabilitated. I've had a slap tear in my right shoulder and my left shoulder, rehabilitated both of them without surgery. And if you want to learn more about how I did that, you can go and get the slap tear rehab blueprint. If you go to unitygym.com/slap tear blueprint, you can learn all about it. But today I'm talking about something that I get asked a lot. I get asked this by our members inside the UMS tribe, people that I'm rehabilitating slap tears with around the world. And they're saying, like, you know, is this clicking and popping sound that I'm feeling normal? Is it something that I should be worried about? Is it something, because it's a really weird sensation, you know? You're doing your exercises and, like, I remember it, you can feel this like these really weird sensations that are going on. And fortunately for me, when I was rehabilitating my slap tears, both of them, I had some exceptional sports physical therapists working in Unity Gym. So I was able to talk to them every day and really understand every aspect of shoulder rehab and of rehabilitating a slap tear. It was a level of connection with physical therapists that I doubt many people would ever have outside of a professional athlete. And these guys only work with professional athletes. It was a very unique situation. So the advice that I'm going to give you here is very good. It's very sound. It helped me rehabilitate my slap tears without surgery, and it can do the same for you. It's done that for hundreds of people around the world. And before I get into it, I should say, we get a lot of people asking about our online personal training, and our membership rate is $79 per month to work with me. But for this month, we actually decided that we were going to give people one last opportunity to lock in our old membership rate, which is $49 per month. So it's a huge saving, only available for the first 20 people that sign up. We've just had another 3 people sign up overnight. So we've now got 14 memberships left. So if you want to be one of those to get the discounted rate for my online personal training, go to unitygym.com/UMS-discount. And I'll put a link in the description of this video and the podcast. So let's talk through it. Let's talk through what's going on. There's so many structures within your shoulder. So, you know, what happens is when you have a slap tear, so there's a tear to the labrum. So a slap tear means superior labrum anterior to posterior. So the labrum is this sort of cartilage under here. It's this connective tissue where the humerus sits in the glenohumeral joint there, and it's wrapped in the labrum. So the labrum is what the humerus sits in, like that. And a slap tear is a superior tear, so the top of the shoulder, top of the labrum, superior labrum, anterior to posterior. So it's a tear that runs from anterior to posterior. But even if you've got like a Bankart lesion or if you've got a labrum tear elsewhere, all of this is just as relevant. It's just that slap tears are so much more common. But any labrum tear that you've got, this is going to be very relevant for you. Now, what happens when you have a slap tear, besides the actual tear itself, is that the shoulder goes into lockdown mode. So the body, because it feels this traumatic injury, and to prevent further injury, it locks the shoulder down, creates inflammation, it tenses up a lot of the muscles, and that what you feel is you try to move your shoulder and you feel this incredible pain when you try and lift your arm past a certain point in the earlier stages. And even when that pain subsides and you feel like, oh, my shoulder's feeling a bit better, and you go back, the movements that are really problematic for most people are pressing. So even just doing chest pressing for a lot of people is a no-go, but doing like a shoulder press is so far out of the question for most people. And the reason why is because your scapular stabilizers and your rotator cuff basically forget how to do their job properly. And anybody that watches my shows often, you'll hear me talking about this stuff a lot. But what happens is, you know, the scapular stabilizers, they control scapular movement, and they make sure that the scapula is rotating in the right way. They're keeping it depressed and retracted when it needs to. And when you get dysfunctional scapular movement, it can cause shoulder impingement, because when you raise your arms up like this and your shoulders are meant to stay in a certain position, the injured side just starts to raise up way too soon, and it causes a lot of impingement and pain. And then the other thing that happens is that the rotator cuff, which is a series of 4 muscles that hold the glenohumeral, the humerus in the glenohumeral joint, and they hold it there and prevent it from moving around like that, because it's not designed to move like that. It's designed to move like that. And so what happens is, this is called joint glide. And when you get joint glide, so you try and lift your arm up like this or like this if you're pressing, and the joint is meant to move like that, but it starts to move like this, that's agonizing. And so there's all these structures in there. There's ligaments, there's tendons, and there's a lot of moving parts when you look at a shoulder, when you dissect it. It goes very, very deep. And what happens is that the clicking that's going on, it could be so many different things. When I was asking my physical therapist friends, what's the clicking? They said, it could be so many things, and the question that I was always asked is, does it hurt? Is it causing you pain when it clicks? And when I said, no, it's not causing me pain, they said, then don't worry about it. It'll go away with time. And my personal experience is that I had clicking at so many different stages of my slap tear rehab, but I had the reassurance of people that knew what they were doing telling me if it's not associated with pain, then it's okay. Now, I should clarify as well, a little bit of pain when you're actually doing your exercises and when you're actually doing your workout is acceptable. It's okay to feel a little bit of pain during the set, as long as it's not agonizing. If the pain doesn't persist after the set, then it's totally fine. If the pain persists after the set through the workout, but it goes away after the workout, that's still okay. But if your baseline level of pain increases after that workout, so what do I mean by that? The baseline level of pain is like if you reach for something in the top shelf and you get pain, and we're all aware of sort of what that level of pain is that we have in our shoulder when we've got a shoulder injury. If that baseline level of pain increases, that's bad. And that's when we need to modify what you're doing. And the way that we modify a workout is we either change the range, change the range of motion, reduce the amount of weight we're lifting, reduce the volume, so reduce the amount of reps per set or reduce the amount of sets per workout, change the tempo, so slow things down. Usually a lot of people do their rehab way too fast. Shoulder rehab should be a slow and controlled thing, and I'm going to talk about that more in a minute. And we can change the complexity of the exercise so that we can reduce the complexity of the exercise. And any or all of those things will allow you to continue to work out without feeling more pain. And I've got a really good series of videos on YouTube. If you go to YouTube, you can see a playlist where I break down. Each video breaks down in detail how you can manipulate one of those variables. And when you understand how to manipulate those 5 variables, you'll always be able to get a workout done. Because it's not about, I can't do this exercise, so I'm not going to train. It's about, well, I can't do this exercise with this weight or with this range of motion or with this volume. So what can I change so that I can do it? So that's a really big thing to understand. Now, I got clicking in so many different ranges of motion, but the one that I really remember, because as I was really improving with my slap tear and my range of motion was coming back, but if I lifted my arm up like this and I did an external rotation, you could hear this like that as I was doing it. Like you could really audibly hear this clicking sound on every rep. It was like, and I could feel it. Like you could feel like it wasn't moving smoothly. It was going like this, like the humerus moving in the glenohumeral joint. It was a really, really scary, nasty sound and feeling. And when you're in that state, you question whether your body is ever going to recover to its full potential again, and you get really scared. You get really worried that you're going to, that this is you for the rest of your life, and you're going to be this injured person, and your shoulder's going to be clicking forever. I can assure you that it won't be that way. Now, everybody's shoulder is different, okay? We all have, a slap tear rarely is only a slap tear. When I had my first slap tear, I also had a torn supraspinatus, which is part of the rotator cuff. I had fluid in the bursa, and I've also got the early onset of joint degeneration, which is arthritis, basically. I'm 46 now, so these things happen from a lifetime of being active and swinging swords around when I used to do kung fu. And so there's a lot of other things that go on. So everybody's shoulder injury is going to be a little bit different. But I can say that one of the worst things you can do is to put yourself in this naughty corner of where you're injured, where you just see yourself as this injured person, and you're like, oh, I can't do this stuff because I've got this slap tear and my shoulder clicks and everything. So how do you work through that? The best way to do it is to start with a reduced range of motion, lightweight, and to do a slow and controlled tempo. Now, for the most part, in the earlier stages of slap tear, I prescribe a 3-0-1-0 tempo, which means a 3-second eccentric phase when the muscles are lengthening, a 0-second pause, and then a 1-second concentric phase. Now, people really mistaken what a 1-second concentric phase. A 1-second concentric phase is not like this. That's an X concentric phase, which is as fast as you can. And we prescribe that. We prescribe that in strength training. In strength training, you use an X tempo sometimes, not always. But, going from there to there like that, that's an X tempo. A 1-second tempo looks like this. Okay, that's 1 second. You got to think of the time if you press a stopwatch and then you stop it on 1 second, it's like dit, dit, like that. But if you're getting clicking, what you have to understand is that you have these weaker ranges of motion. You have these parts where the shoulder doesn't really want to develop strength there. It's this nervous system locking the shoulder down and, making it, trying to protect itself. And it's your job to work through those challenging parts. Now, that might mean that if you try to press and you get to this point where you feel this click that causes pain, then for a while you might only be working that range. But you work it with real intention. You really intentionally and slowly press to that range. You tease that range. You press it in a way where you're really focusing on that scapular depression, on keeping the shoulder stabilized as you press, and you tease that range that's hard to get past. And in every rep and in every workout, you're trying to work through that range. What you're being very intentional to not do is to try and skip past that part where you feel the clicking. So I want you to really try and get your head around this concept here. You don't want to get to that point where it clicks and feel like you kind of just skip past it and then go through it. We have to develop strength through that range where you're struggling with. And that, as long as you play around with, like, even if your program says that you're meant to do 8 to 12 reps, if you can do it for only 3 or 4 reps, then you do it for 3 or 4 reps. There's different ways that you can still get your 8 to 12 reps in a set when you're struggling with things like this with shoulder rehab. So even if you're meant to do 8 to 12 reps, but it really causes you discomfort to do more than 3 reps, do 3 reps, stop, shake your shoulder out a bit, reset, do another 3 reps, stop, shake your shoulder out and try and do another 2 reps. That would still count as 1 set when we're talking about shoulder rehab, because this is, we're treating the body in a very, very different way than just general training. And we have to get creative with the way that you're doing your workouts. And then the other thing to consider is to just be so mindful that this is the journey. The journey of shoulder rehab, it's not this linear path, Most people that I work with, in fact, I'd say 9 out of 10 of the people that I'm coaching for slap tear rehab, they have a pretty predictable improvement with their shoulder. So it's very, very rare that people don't improve week on week. In fact, people talk about when they're doing my slap tear rehab that, after the first workout, their shoulder feels a lot better. And after a week, they can feel a noticeable difference. And after a month, it's like a life-changing difference of reduction in pain. Because when you start addressing these issues that I'm talking about, re-strengthening the scapular stabilizers, re-strengthening the rotator cuff, to reminding them how to do their job properly, and also strengthening the prime movers, then the results come pretty quickly. It's something that happens pretty quickly and pretty predictably. Some people, it doesn't happen as quick as others, but you've really got 2 choices in life. I firmly believe this. You are either doing the work that's going to make you better eventually, or you're not. And if you're not, then things are going to get worse. And so you make the decision. You either decide, am I going to do this work? Am I going to do the work that's required to make my shoulder better, regardless of if it takes me 3 weeks, 3 months, or 3 years? Because I made that decision much earlier on in my training. I had moments, and this is a talk for a different discussion, but in my 30s when I'd realized that I just, despite all the training that I'd done in martial arts and in Kung Fu, I was very, very weak when it came to calisthenics and when it came to strength training that I decided to commit to. And I just decided that I was going to fully embrace and accept that I was a beginner. And I was, despite my 20 years of training before that, I was going to just embrace being a beginner and get the work done. And so when I suffered these slap tears. I'd already developed that mentality, that beginner mentality, that it doesn't matter how long it takes, I'm just going to focus on doing the work. And with that process for me, I was able to fix my first slap tear in about 12 months, but the second one, because I had another slap tear 14 months after I had the first one, that was a kick in the teeth. And the second one I was able to fix in about 6 months because I knew what I was doing so much better. I was so confident with the process of what I needed to do, and I just buckled up and I just got the work done. When I did the first slap tear, like I rested for a month, thinking that would fix it, and that just did absolutely nothing for it. So you've got this choice. You can wallow in sorrow, you can get frustrated, you can be really upset about all the things that you're missing out on, or you can just suck it up and accept that you've got this injury and accept that there's work to be done and do the work. Because if you go down that road, I guarantee you the time will come where you'll be back to full strength, you'll have full range of motion, and the slap tear will be a distant memory in the past. But if you go down that other road, you're going to be one of the people that are commenting on my YouTube videos saying, I've had this thing for 4 years and I just can't get rid of it. We've got people that are, there's a lady, I won't name her because, I don't have permission to talk specifically about certain people's results, but she is in her 40s. She's a mother with children. She had a slap tear for 4 years. Before she started working with me. She'd seen surgeons, doctors, physical therapists for 4 years and nothing worked. And not only is she completely pain-free from the slap tear now, but within, I think it was about 10 months after joining our online personal training, she unlocked her first pull-up ever. In her entire life, she'd never been able to do pull-ups. So she fixed a slap tear and unlocked an impressive calisthenics feat that, for somebody in their 40s that's never been able to do, that's a big achievement. So this stuff really, really works if you follow the process. And it is a process. Another question that I get, which I believe is a false question, is people say, what exercise can I do to fix this injury? So there's exercises that we can give you that will get you started, that will give you the first stepping stone. But slap tear rehab is a series of programming, because what we do is, you have to have a series of exercise that caters for the range of motion that you have, like this at the start. And you'll do those only for between 2 and 4 weeks generally. Some people do them for 6 weeks, but most people, probably more realistically, 3 to 4 weeks. And then we need to go to a slightly more challenging program with a method called periodization. So the next program is a little bit more challenging, and it's always teasing you just a little bit more. It's always challenging you at your end range, and it's always building on that last program. And then when you look back over the last 6 program phases, and all of a sudden you're doing dips and behind the head shoulder presses again, and you're almost pain free. And that is how shoulder rehab works. It's not this like, here's this one set of exercises that you're going to do and that's going to fix your problems. And that goes for anything. Whatever it is that you want to achieve with your training, it's periodization that gets you there. It's progressive overload. It's never just doing the same thing over and over again. Now, everybody, I've got a question here on YouTube that I'll answer. And if anybody's got questions on Instagram or TikTok, let me know and I'll answer them real quick because I've got to go and teach a class. But if you guys are suffering with a slap tear, if you're suffering with a shoulder injury, ask yourself what it's worth for you to fix. Because for me, at age 46, time is my most valuable asset. And the thing that I want to spend my least is my time. I do not want time to go by for too long without achieving the results that I want with my strength and flexibility. And if that's you, come and join my online personal training, because I guarantee you that the financial investment is far less than the time investment. And if you join the discounted rate at $49 per month, that's less than like a half or a third of the cost of what one physical therapy session costs. And you're getting all your workouts done for you. You're getting access to me and my team 24/7. You're getting coaching, you're getting video feedback, you're getting a guaranteed program that really works. So go over to unitygym.com/UMS-discount and grab one of those last 14 memberships. Ashish is saying, can you tell any 2 or 3 best rotator cuff exercises to warm up the shoulders before an upper body workout? So that falls into the category of what I just said, Ashish, because I can tell you some great exercises to do before your workout at the earlier stages, But what I do to warm up my shoulder now in later stages after having a slap tear is completely different to what you do. And what you do would change every 4 weeks. You don't do the same thing over and over and over again. So in the earlier stages, what you can do a low cable in external rotation. So you've got the cable over here, okay, and you're doing external rotation like that. Okay, or with a band, and then you do the opposite for internal rotation. So you've got the cable over there and you do internal rotation. But that completely changes, like what I'm doing, at my level with, because I've still got slap tears, the slap tears don't fix. You just become so strong and so capable that they don't cause you problems. And what I do is completely different. I'm doing things with like medicine balls where I'm banging them on the wall, and where I'm using like, what's it called? Oh man, I can't remember what it's called. The body blade, and you're shaking around, so it's like banging the head of the humerus up there and challenging the rotator cuff in a different way. So those exercises will be great for you for about 4 weeks, and then you'll need to move on to some new stuff. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. I hope you guys got something out of that today. And for Instagram and TikTok, I do intend to go live to you guys every day. I do this for America and European time zones. I do it at the same time every day from Sunday to Thursday. In Australia, I'm doing it from Monday to Friday, but we're ahead of you guys in the world. So thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. I hope you learned something about slap tear rehab. And again, if you want to really take control of this, come and join the online personal training, and we will fix this in record time. I hope you guys have a wonderful day.